And good morning. Welcome to Soulful Illumination. I am your host, the enlightened enchantress, Nicole Borghi, and so glad to be with you today that you can join me on this show. It's Thursday, and aren't those energies a little bit crazy? But first, I want to welcome everybody listening from around the world, the known universe, those traveling across space time, through dimensional portals and other realms to the Soulful Illumination Show, the show about spiritual ascension through energetic frequencies, a show about connecting to the collective consciousness through heart filled awakening. So just sit back and allow the energy of the vibrational frequency to send you into spiritual ascension. That's what this show is about. Who am I? I'm your host, the Lady of Laughter and Light, Nicole Borghi. I'm a crystal Reiki master, a psychic medium. I am a soulful coach. I'm holistically here to connect you to your mind, your body, and soul, that big power of oneness. How do we do that? That's through that heart awakening. And you can look up my program, book a discovery call. I'm on IlluminateVegas.com. That's where you can find me and articles and wonderful things. And to this week, I just put up my Etsy shop. It is essentialjourneysus.com. And on that shop, I am pleased, so pleased to show these beauties, because right now, with the way our energy is, we need to connect to our heart. Hopefully you can see that little beauty. It's got shungite, lapis lazuli, rose quartz for your heart, and a raven. And that raven is here to help you into that ascension and to travel, right? You can learn more on my Instagram, my Facebook, or at my Etsy shop. It's got absolutely everything on there. That is dragon's blood jasper, and jasper is great for emotions and healing strength. It's This one too has shungite in it, which is a great dark stone for protection of EMFs and protection into your astral travel. So just check those out. Also, mahogany obsidian on this beauty right here. And it's all about skulls. And skulls to me represent not only Halloween and Dios de Muerta, but they also represent connecting to your ancestors. And if you want to create a passage, a safe passage to the wisdom connection of what is your ancestors, right? That's what we want to do. So you want safe travel, connection to your ancestors, connection to the Akashic record. That's what they do. Ancestors, I'm all about Illuminate Vegas and Soulful Illumination. This show is about wisdom, life, death, and the rebirth. And that is such a beautiful thing. Let's look at also, you know what? The oil of the week, represented by doTERRA here. And I am an oily person, wherever you get it from, because these are anointing oils behind me. It's a fabulous oil with jojoba, sage, and palo santo. Those clean, clear, cleanse your home. So does frankincense. Frankincense goes back years, right? It brings the mind, it opens the mind. It changes the cells at a molecular level, at a cellular level. You can change your DNA. There are pages and pages of scientific proof. If you go to pubmed.com, that's pubmed.com, and you can look up frankincense. Also, the Alzheimer's Association. It's all about brain power. And we're going to talk about that with my guest today, the brain power. Part of that brain power is, what do you do within, right? So you don't go without. Look within your soul and your connection to mind, body, and soul. It's not just about your head, it's about your heart. And it is about what you put into your body. And if you want to transcend and heal at a stronger molecular weight, you want to do things like utilizing essential oils that not only clean and cleanse your space and your auric field, but they help connect you to your ancestors. And that's what it's about. That's what I'm about, is to give you that empowerment. Let's go into our reading for this week. The energy reading for this week is about love and truth. It's your love for yourself, the truth for what you understand, the truth that you know, and the truth that you are working on knowing. What is that knowledge that you are seeking? The truth is there. You need to feel into it. Is the truth that you're expressing, whether it's verbally, physically, emotionally, is that the truth of the space outside you, which is the energy? Or is that the truth which you understand? We really need to start looking within ourselves. So I have some notes here. So I'm going to look down for a minute. That we need to look at the fractions of us, the fractals of us, the fragments of us, the dimensions. When you want to understand that is you at a deeper level, you need to understand what are the facets of you. What do you know? What have you experienced? And what do you know is truth now? And a great way to feel that is just breathe in, breathe out, feel your heart, and you ask yourself, self, is that true? Is this feeling mine? Is this feeling true? And if it's heavy, it's a non truth. If it's light, it is a truth. It's kind of like using a pendulum. It's a yes or no. And you need to feel within that. If you're having too much of a conflict in that truth, then there's some deeper work that you need to do. And that's where I come in and I help out a lot with people. But right now the energies are strong. We know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I am just reminding you and guiding you on the correct path. That's what I'm here for, is to just be that little voice that whispers and says, hey, guess what? You're on the right path and I'm here to guide you. So the cards of the day, and I love cards because they give us a visual, and these will be up on the website today after the show. It's called the Prison Wave. And what she talks about is self-sabotage, poverty, and consciousness. And when we look inside, it's not all bad because the truth of the energy is here and you are polarizing the energy. But what are you putting out into the universe? So what you have to ask yourself is what's inside? What's going on inside at a subconscious level? And what am I projecting into my consciousness? You want to look at that because are you projecting a hurt? Are you projecting a pain? Are you projecting a thought and emotion that's yours? You have every right to think and feel and do, but you don't want to express such negative emotions because that means that you're hurt inside. And when we have anger and when we have depression, it is a hurt that we are putting out. It is an energy that we are putting out. And we are allowing, when we are at that moment of hurt and pain, we allow other pain to come in. And that's through people that we live with or through people that we know. So we want to turn it around so the group of people that we are uniting with are of a positive ascension. They're of a positive power. They're of magical, wonderful fairies and unicorns. But make sure that you take care of you. And as you take care of you and you open your heart, you can open your mind and you can understand where is that thought of you? What are you seeing right now? The next card is a beautiful dragon card. And on this dragon card, it talks about the gold, silver, violet flame dragon. And the violet flame, we know, is such a beautiful, strong energy that holds us. And this card is more the opposite. So once we get enlightened and understand where we're standing in ourselves and our emotions, this one transmutes the old around you. So letting go of that negative energy, that is so much the energy of what is now. We need to let go of that old thought pattern and move forward. This is the time to hop on that broomstick in October and move forward and let it sail, right? So get rid of the energies around you, the old you, and get into the wisdom, the grace. And it's time to transmute. So you get magic healing and offer service under grace. So when you're healthy and you're happy and you're in a better energetic state, you can help others and others will help you. So it's reciprocity. And that starts with you first. The other thing is looking at expanding your awareness. So if you love you and you can detach from you and learn who you are, if you could just take yourself out, separate yourself, and that's part of the fragmentation. Come on out and look at yourself from a different perspective. How would you see yourself from as another person, or how would you look at yourself if you were looking at yourself as someone else? And that is part of that inner child connection and that shadow. So you want to look at be aware of what is going on and understand it. And as you are aware, you can heal it. You can heal that pain and move into that positive power, which is you. Don't resist the truth. Let go of that pain. And in order to do that, you need to understand you so you can work on that and move forward. The three rune stones that I like to pull up today are Thorizaz, Fehu, and Burkano. And I just had my rune stone drop, but I will put those up on the site. Thorizaz is protection and warning. And you want to have protection from your angels and guides. And if you are protected, they can tell you, kind of like an intuition, when you're looking at that and you're going, wait a second, let me stop and look, pause, pray, and look forward to see, am I in protection? Am I receiving a warning? What is my intuition? What are my guides telling me? Are you being stubborn? Are you trying to move forward? So that's the old energy. So look at that and see where you're progressing forward. And as you come forward into Fehu, that's wealth and that's gains. Once we heal ourselves, we can manifest, we can be abundant, which is at another plane. And so we need to start somewhere and move forward. The last one here is Burkano. So it is becoming. Becoming is what you are, what is, what is as above, so below. You are within yourself, so you don't go without. So it's that whole picture. You are becoming, we are all becoming. Look at the rebirth, the new birth that started recently. We're on that divine feminine pathway, and we want to go into the strengths, into the balance, into the harmony. So embrace that as what is you, embrace your circumstance, whatever you're in, and move forward. And how do you do that? When you understand, you can cleanse, you can clear that energy around you, and you can move into positiveness. That's where the anointing oils come in. And those sacred, beautiful oils are blessed. They have great energy, and they just bring that power, feel that power of the sage. I have the plants in there and the essential oil and all that beautiful Reiki magic in that. And that little empowerment you can bring with you. You can put it on roll it on here on your wrist, put it on your neck, make your own. Contact me, IlluminateVegas.com, and I can help you with that. So that is our energy ascension into what is this second week of October, or maybe it's the first week. I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I was trying to catch up, and here I am. Here we all are. And bless you. And I'm going to bring my guest in, my guest, Rachel West, someone that I've gotten to know here in this fabulous city of Las Vegas, Nevada. And she is a wonderful person, and she works with the power of the brain and reprogramming and moving into educating you together. And she works with you one-on-one. I'm going to let Rachel share what she does and how she does it, because she is just so magic about that. If I can get that interview. There you are. Hello.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you for coming on today. It is such a pleasure to have this format to share with other people in that togetherness, into that bringing that conscious forward and learning who we are and kind of how do we reprogram ourselves and how do we get out of the mess, which is us, and move forward. But I'll let you go ahead and take that.
Okay. So I am Rachel, and my business is Empowering Growth. I'm a personal growth coach, and I am a certified master neuro-linguistic programming practitioner and a master timeline therapy practitioner. So those are, for those of you who don't know what those are, NLP explores the relationship between how we think. That's the neuro. It's how we communicate both with ourselves and with others. That's the linguistic. And it's our patterns of behavior and emotion. That's the programming. And it can be used to improve your communication with others or yourself. It can be used to overcome fears, to improve your self-esteem and your confidence. It can be used to develop better relationships with those around you. And timeline therapy is a holistic technique. It's used at the unconscious level. It's working with your unconscious mind, and it allows you to gain emotional control over your life by discovering the root as to what holds you back from what you truly desire. So I focus on mindset, and I work with my clients to discover what that root is that holds them back. Whether that's in relationships or their finances or maybe their own self-sabotage. So I work with them to figure out that root problem. It's sometimes so unconscious that we're not even aware that it exists there. So when we're young, I'm going to say before the age of 7, that's our imprint years. So the people who are around us the most in that time period, whether it's your parents or grandparents or a teacher, maybe a sibling, whoever has the most impact on you at that time can influence your thoughts in that period. Maybe it's a doctor and they diagnose you with something. Like when I was in kindergarten, 5 years old, I was diagnosed with a learning disability. And so as a kid, and you hear the doctor say that, you take on that belief as your own, which may or may not be true. And so I took it on to be true. And so I believe that growing up, probably until the last couple of years, I thought I wasn't smart. And I thought that I wasn't a good reader because the way that I learn, people have to teach it to me to make sense. If they're showing me or telling me, I'm not going to understand it. And so I think that that's why I was diagnosed with this, because they were showing me how to do something or telling me how to do something, and I just wasn't grasping it because it wasn't making sense to me. And so I carried this belief that I wasn't smart, I wasn't a good reader, and therefore I just thought I wasn't a good writer, because if I can't read, I can't write. And so I carried this belief my entire life that I had this learning disability, when in actuality, that wasn't the case. And it was a doctor that told me at 5 years old that I had this learning disability. And to find out now as an adult, it was just a made up belief that I carried with me. And, it's amazing how the mind works. And if you're told something, you could take it on to be true. I grew up in the Catholic religion, and very, very early on, again, I knew that just wasn't congruent with me. And because, you're born into it and you don't know any different. So you take that religion on to be yours because your family gifts it to you. And so I left. I walked away from the Catholic Church and religion, and started at 14 years old searching for my own identity, my own religion, my own beliefs. And I'm still on that journey. I'm evolving constantly and growing and adding in new things and new beliefs. So it's just amazing that I'm in this work and can help people work with their mindset, go back and discover beliefs or decisions that they created that no longer serve them, and help them release that so that they can move forward.
And that's so great, because it is something that's dear to my heart, is also being diagnosed at a young age. I spent a lot of time in the hospital. And I was told, constantly through high school how dumb I was. And so I didn't never fought it. I was just like, okay, whatever. But I had acceptance with it, in a sense, and it didn't bother me too much. But as I grew older, I really understood where it had that pattern, because I see people nowadays so often that want to be in that victim stage where they feel that they're not enough, and they feel that they don't have enough power. They feel they don't have enough of their own power. They want to be in that victim stage, and they want to stay, and I don't really want to say stupid, but they want to stay, well, okay, if they've labeled me with this dyslexia, which I was told I couldn't read. And so they labeled me with that, and I see other people doing that, and they want to stay in that, and they want to be rescued, and they want to be given things. And to me, it's like, well, wait a second, you don't have to be unempowered. You can be empowered. And how do you work with people to say, what is your experience? Let me say, rephrase that. What is from your experience? How do you use the programming that you have to help people get out of that, where they can succeed and grow and be self-empowered?
Yeah. So the thing is that secondary gain, that's where they want to stay in it. They want to stay as the victim because
Mm,
it gets them something more rewarding than if they were to get help. So if
yeah.
the person is aware of this, some people don't even know that they're using the secondary gain as a strategy. And so if they're open to it and they want to become aware of it and to actually change it, um, that's where the timeline therapy comes in, and going back to that time, that age where they created that belief or that decision. Um, for example, for me, I remember I was working on myself, and at 4 years old, I created um, the decision to become quiet and shy
Mm,
because it got me attention for being quiet and shy. And so
okay.
I carried that with me until a couple of years ago, unknowingly that was my gain. I was getting that attention for being so quiet. People
Okay.
would notice me for being like, who's that girl just sitting there quiet, like not saying anything? So it's interesting how our brain works, and as kids how we create this to get us something that we're lacking at that moment, and then we carry it with us. So I would say you have to be willing to put in the work
Mm.
to change the results and give up that secondary gain to move forward in life. It's
So
like,
I'm sorry.
oh, you're good.
So when you work with people, you said homework, and that's important to me, because I do that with my coaching. I think it's so important for people to understand that there's a map, kind of like a roadmap and a plan to get from point A to point B. And in order to do that, you have to put in the work. And you have to, what that homework does for me is it kind of helps you have a little bit of a path where you can check it off and say, oh, I get this. I have these steps. Here's where I'm supposed to be. Here's where I want to go. And it kind of helps you get into those feelings and the thoughts of what is you. And I'm not sure. I haven't looked at your paperwork, so we can't compare it back and forth, right? But we can say, it's so important for your success to really write and spell and create that magic. And in order to manifest and in order to change, you have to write it out. You have to see it. You have to do it. And that's so important. So what, uh, what kind of things do you show people to kind of get them to move along, to help them on that path with their homework?
Okay. So it's individually based off the person. So the first step is bringing awareness to the things that they're doing that they don't know they're doing. So those patterns that we get in the habit of running. So it's basically a verbal session helping the person see their patterns and see and or hear their limiting beliefs or decisions that they've placed on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we've identified what those are, we're writing them out so that you can see your starting point. And there we can work on the things to move you from your starting point to where your goals and what you desire are.
And so when you take these people, you're with them. You're guiding them and you're kind of holding their hand. And that's sometimes what we need when we ask for personal teachers, because a lot of times you didn't get that personal attention unless you were the bad kid. So I became the bad kid because that's the only way. I was quiet and they ignored me. And I was okay with that for a few years, but I became that bad kid, right? I was that kid that was in detention all the time and I was loud and I hung out with the bad kids. And, it's because I needed attention. And nobody wanted to give me attention and they just told me that I was bad. So, hey, okay, I'll be the bad kid. I wasn't, but you told me I was bad for being quiet. You told me I was bad for not understanding. You told me I was bad for not participating in class. So I became that bad person. I put that cap on and became that persona, that fragment of what was me at the time. Uh, because I didn't have anybody at home and I didn't have anybody at school that was going to be there for me and hold my hand and guide me. So is that what you offer people, is to help them and guide them along? Because I think that's so important.
Yes. And I want to go back just to touch on something you said. So those labels that somebody else gives us. So somebody labeled you as the bad kid.
Yes.
What our brain does when somebody says that, we take that on as true, and our brain hears it. Our unconscious mind hears that label, says, "Oh, bad kid. I know exactly how to do that. Interrupt class, get in trouble, mess around with other kids, talk loud." So same thing with my learning disability. Your brain says, "Oh, I have a learning disability. I know how to do that." So because your brain can't tell the difference between reality and fantasy, whether it's your words or someone else's words, it's listening all the time, eavesdropping. And it takes on what you or someone else says if you allow it to, and then it acts out that because it thinks that that's what you are.
Sure does. It sure
So
does,
if
right?
if somebody were to say that to you, a teacher says, "You're the bad kid," and you decide, like, who are you to tell me I'm the bad kid? I'm not a bad kid. I'm a good kid. If you were to reframe that instantly, give it a different meaning, then you're giving your brain that specificity that it needs and saying, "I'm the good kid." And then your brain's like, "Oh, I know how to do that too. I'm a good kid." And you do all the good things. So whenever someone labels you, it's important to remember that no matter what it is, you have the ability to reject that label right then and there and tell your mindset, your brain, your unconscious mind, the truth, the reality of what you are, and knock that label right down right there.
And that's important. And it's not to say when we're every day we hear things a little bit here and there. And I do want to separate this because sometimes we get so involved in a name and sometimes we get so involved in a label. And sometimes, you know, I, how I kind of put it is, when you say I'm a janitor back in the day, let's say I have a job, just to create a picture, I have a job, I'm a janitor. I'm the guy that scrubs up and cleans up, or I fix little things here and there. And now it becomes the superintendent of porcelain bowls or whatever. What does that mean? Does that really represent you? It's kind of a falseness. We give certain things like certain simple things a name, like a desk. It's an atom, it has energy, and it's okay to utilize those phrases for the purpose of understanding the conversation, right? I'm Nicole, you're Rachel, we're having a conversation. That way, people watching know this one's Nicole, the crazy lady over here with essential oils and all the woo woo stuff. And this beautiful being over here, Rachel, is the neurolinguistic programmer. And so you can identify, and that's what we do. And certain labels at certain times are important. And I want to let people know that sometimes those are important. Some on a second level, there are labels aren't necessarily detrimental when they're going back and forth. We're human. We think, we feel, we laugh, we have comedy, we talk about things, and that's in conversation. If you're having a conversation one-on-one and it's a continuous detrimental feeling, that can be a bad thing. But if it's just in passing and somebody says something, kind of just scruff it off. We get so involved in everything that everybody else is doing. It's not your business what other people think or say. Get out of it. Really, really get out of it. And I'm sorry, guys, because spirit is so like right now, it's intense for me right now, because you need to get out of that. It's not important. And people would tell me, oh, why don't you care when people say this or that? Slough it off. I really don't care. If I am having a conversation with somebody that I friend, or somebody I'm networking with, or somebody that I'm compassionate about, or somebody that I'm sharing a meal with or something, and they're saying something, that is different. That can be attacking or that can be loving. But these little things here and there on the TV, on the media, shut it off. The more you listen to it, the more you're programming that negativity, and the more you're programming that victimhood. So take it back, take it all back, take back what's yours, detach yourself, get rid of that negative energy, cut the cords to things that you are not attached to, and bring back in all those little attachments to energy that we don't need to attach ourselves to for long periods of time. So let that go. Just cut that cord and let it go. If you need help, contact me. I'll help you. But you can't attach yourself to everything, because you lose such energy. And that's why we are having such an impact at a soul level. And then it affects our brains. It affects our hearts. And we just want to close off, or we want to close out. And that's the energy of now. And that's what that's representing. But let some of that stuff go. If it's something that you're working with, somebody that you love, or a friend, or somebody that you're encouraging, there's things that you can do to teach these people how to come up, and how to pull yourself up by your bootstrings, and just tie those bootstrings tight and stand up straight, and use your free will to make a decision and be empowered. There's such a difference. And we try to get everything in the middle all mixed up, and we stir the pot constantly. And it has nothing to do with it. It's ingredients in the stew that you don't need. You just need a few, little salt, pepper, and maybe a spice or two, but don't make it crazy. Don't take on everybody else's stuff. Um, and that's very important, because I talk to clients all the time about stuff that, look, that doesn't matter. That's not part of you. Let that go, because let's really look at, because if you try to heal and work with all that little bitty stuff, the little things that don't mean nothing, you'll never get to the important part of that is you, your true self, your subconscious, or your inner child, your shadow, whatever, however fragment of you that you're looking at. You can't fix and repair it if you're worried about what everybody else is doing. It's not your business. because otherwise, if you stay in that energy, you will never grow. You will never gain, and you will never be empowered. And it's so important when somebody like Rachel is teaching you how to reprogram yourself, and really get to the crux of what is you, getting to that nitty gritty, getting to help and reach out and respond to people. Do you find that people just are, when they first come to you, that they kind of have like this big plate of stuff?
Yeah, I do. Um, Most people, I'm going to say the majority, if not everybody, has this plate, or I call it a backpack of rocks. These things that we just um, bring on, that energy you're talking about, the beliefs, the labels, and we just take the rock, throw it in our backpack. Here comes this, throw it in our. So it's getting heavier and heavier and weighing us down. So when people come to me, their backpacks are full. They're tired,
Mm,
they're hurting, they're in pain,
yeah.
and so my job as their personal coach is to start releasing those rocks, taking them out, throwing them in the trash, getting rid of them, and lighten their load,
Yeah.
lighten their energy, lighten their environment.
Yeah. And it's you as a coach have the ability to kind of be the detachment for them, and to be their eyes and their ears, and say, because when people say, well, why do I need somebody? It's more like because you need somebody that isn't in your space. You need somebody that's not in your monkey mind, and somebody that's not promoting those little fear gremlins standing out here and telling you that same tape of stuff. And a lot of times, people, guys, we understand the theory of what we need to do, or we understand that there are tools that we have, but in doing it ourselves, it doesn't work the same. It's kind of like having the car but not being able to drive it, right? When people do that, what are some other things that you do? Kind of, how do you analyze people when you come in, when they come into you? I think that I'm always interested in how people look at their people and how they guide them from day one.
Well, if you're part of the problem, you can't be part of the solution. So because you're in it, you're in the problem, you can't see outside of it. So you have blinders on. And
Mm,
so what I do is help just nudge that blinder a little bit, and then you can see a little bit more. So um, when people come to me, I'm using the my tools, the linguistic, listening to what they're saying without saying. People will tell you everything. Um, so it's like I have my ears on, my listening ears, and I'm hyper focused on you're what words you're using to tell me what your current problem is that you're in. And when
mhm,
you're doing that, you're telling me what the real problem is, the root of the problem.
mm,
So um, something light that everybody can relate to. A lot of people procrastinate. So if you're coming to me and you have this problem of procrastination, you're telling me that that's the problem. But I know that's not really the problem. And so as we're talking, it could be, it's going to be different for everyone, but it could be that um, maybe you don't believe in yourself. So
mm,
you're saying that the problem is procrastination because that's what your belief is right now. Um, and you're unaware that the real meaning is that you don't believe in yourself. So you're using this mask of procrastination. Well, if I don't do the work, then I don't have to show people that I
right.
really don't believe in myself, or that I'm not capable of doing what I want, or I'm not worthy of doing that. So helping them pinpoint what that root is, helping them grow in that area so that they can move forward and release their belief of procrastination or worthiness that they're saying it is to move forward.
You know, a great, great book that somebody shared with me is called The Art of, is it The Art of, not, not The Art of War, because that's Sun Tzu, The War on Art. The War on Art. I think it's Stephen Pressfield. And it talks about procrastination and his journey within procrastination. And it's so important when we talk about self-sabotaging behavior. Because that self-sabotaging behavior is, it's another part of what is you. It's another component of what is you. Your subconscious, when you try to do something and you procrastinate, or you start to feel that kind of inner pain of, whoa, 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 those warning signs come up, and you start doing the thing like, oh, it's Murphy's Law, it's bound to happen, bad, I'm not going to succeed, whatever, whatever. You're damaging yourself there, but you procrastinate sometimes because you feel the pain. Your subconscious is bringing that pain in, like, oh, I can't go there because it's going to be painful. It's not going to be painful going forward. You are trying to avoid the pain of the past. So you really need to mirror that and look at the past of what was you and say, okay, I was hurt when I was young. I was labeled and I was told that I was dyslexic, or I had a disability and I couldn't read. So going forward, it's going to hurt me to open a book. And it took me a while to open a book. I don't want to read. I don't need to read. I don't want to read. I liked audio tapes. But it hurt me to open a book. Because it really did suck to read, because I'd see patterns and not the words for a while. A lot of that was coming to meditation and coming to stillness in my mind, and reconnecting my nerves, for me personally. However, hi, little one. Surprise. It's really that connection, of that procrastination, of that pain that you're worried that's going to happen going forward, that you'll feel that again. Well, so what? Move from that and try to take that step forward. You're not going to jump off a cliff. That's not what it is. It's just trying it. But we spend so much time talking ourselves out of doing something. We have people who talk us out of stuff. Why do we need to talk ourselves out of doing it ourselves? And then we stop. Well, I always look at it like, what if you leaped into it and you got it? What if you leaped into it and finished the 500-page novel? What if you leaped into the book and you realize, hey, I can read smaller books? Or maybe it's the content of the information that I don't like. My sister liked romance novels. I didn't like them. I like fact. I like nonfiction books when I read, because I love information. So that made a difference too. Poems, talking about mythology. Find something that you like, and maybe you won't procrastinate as much. Maybe you just take out 20 books at a library and you only like one, and you read a couple lines. That's okay. You have to try it to find out what you like and what you don't like. And you have to really look within to find out, why are you stopping yourself? Because the procrastination is a big deal to a lot of people, because you don't want to get off the couch. You got the remote, you got your pizza, everything's at your hand. Why would you want to do it? What do you tell people kind of right now about what they will gain by moving forward and giving it a try?
Well, it starts with taking the first step. And you've got to start so you can build that momentum. We're in a society that people want results now. They want to see it now. And that's not always the case. So know that once you start, that's the hardest part, is taking that first step and starting. And once you are consistent with doing that one thing that you started, you'll start building momentum. And it
Yeah.
takes a good 3-4 months for you to build that momentum. And right before you get to that 3 or 4 months, people stop and they give up because they're not seeing the results. They're not getting that instant gratification that we all need as a society. So if you just hold on a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
that momentum will snowball and it'll just continue. Now, there is the cases that um, you need to learn to listen to your intuition. So if you need help with that, go see Nicole. That's her area. But once you start um, listening and tuning into your intuition, it's going to guide you. You're going to know instantly if you're supposed to be doing what you're doing or not. Because in the past, I had been continuing this program. I would start it, stop it,
Mm-hmm.
start the same program, just looks different, stop it. And
Mm.
what my program was, I was holding on to things that I shouldn't be doing for too long. So that's the other thing. When you tune
Yeah.
into your intuition, you'll know if you're not on the right path and to stop because you're not going in the right direction.
Well,
Um,
yeah, that's true. You don't have to, you might not be doing the right thing, even though you're trying. You might not be doing the right thing, or you might be doing something that's not your path. And that's very much part of intuition at a in a small scale. And that's okay. But stopping that and saying, is this serving my highest and best? Is this serving my goal? And you can check that out, look at that again from a different standpoint. And that's great to see that.
yeah, and I want people to know that as you're trying these things, you're taking that first step in whatever direction you choose at the moment today. What are you choosing today to take the first step in? And if that's not the right path or the right direction, it's not a failure. It's not, oh, I made the wrong choice or that was a bad decision. No, it's a learning experience. So you take what you learned from that, what was positive about that experience, and then you make the next decision. What is the next path? What is the first step on that path? And you start going in that direction. And same thing, until you find the right path that you're supposed to be on, it's okay to take the ones that might not be, because everybody's on their own journey. And all of those paths that you're choosing are there for a reason, to give you a lesson or a learning to make you that much better on your next path. But people tend to not see it that way. And they think, oh, I took this path, I made this decision, and it didn't work out. And oh, I'm a failure. Or that's so embarrassing. Now everybody's going to know it didn't work out because everybody saw. That's okay. Keep going.
And I just like to add one thing with that. When you're on the journey of self-discovery, which I'm on like every day, it it's not only sometimes fail and move forward, and learn from that, but it's the chance to learn, because later in life you're going to look at those failures. They may actually have been successes, and you didn't interpret it that way. The other thing to do is to say, what have I gained? How did I become enriched? What did I learn from it? So that way, as I grow, I can take different facets of me, of what hat I wore as a beautician, the hat I wore as a cook, the hat I wore as, bless you, the hat I wore as when I was in law enforcement. It's all different hats, but they've taught me so many different lessons, and it was so beautiful. And now the path again into intuition, into what am I now, and what lesson do I have to share with others? And it's beautiful this way. When we journey into that, bless you, we journey into to understanding who other people are, understanding how they represent us, at a soul level, and to represent that connection, and how to really either connect or talk to people. And that was huge for me for many years. The reason I didn't speak publicly, or the reason I didn't get on a video, was not that I was afraid. It was, what do I have to say? And how do I articulate it? Because I don't want to say it with brute force. I don't want to say it and push my opinion on you. I want to share it in a loving manner, in a way maybe that's fun, or in a way maybe that you haven't heard before, or maybe a simple life hack way that you can kind of wrap your mind around, because you've heard it, but it didn't compute because it wasn't something that you could kind of understand, or uh, uh, or something that you can relate to. And I think relationship is huge, because when we can relate to stuff, we will open up to understand, oh, okay, this is what it is. This is how it works. It's not all bad. How does it work for me? How can I utilize it? Or do I even need it in my life? One last question I have for you before we go, because we are almost out of time, is when you work with people, how do you share with them the beauty of the goals that they've achieved and their successes in life and the successes they get? How do also they seek that reward in a sense?
So when I first start working with a client, I have an intake packet and I use a life wheel. And I want them to gauge where they think they're at on that wheel right now, right when we first start. And then um, every quarter, every 3 months, we revisit that life wheel so that they can visually see their progress from where they were and how much they grew in that time period. So it's like I was saying earlier, how it takes 3 to 4 months to build the momentum for you to start seeing the rewards. So at that 3 month mark, I want them to have that um, gratification, that, you know, proud moment that what I'm doing, putting in the work, doing the homework is paying off. So you
Yeah.
don't see it in the moment. It's kind of like weight loss. You don't see your progress every single day because you're part of it. So you're not seeing it, but it's there. So just giving them that visualization to see that the work they're putting in, the effort they're putting in is working and paying off. And that way that they can see it.
Right. Right. Absolutely. The reward.
Yes, everybody wants the reward.
100%. 100%. It is the reward. Absolutely. So, how can people, Rachel, reach you if they want to contact you?
They can call me 702-714-1888. They can visit my website, empoweringgrowthcoach.com. There's more information. You can get my email if you would rather reach out to me that way. And also all of my links to connect with me on social media.
Absolutely. And I will have the links up on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, Illuminate Vegas. All the links for Rachel will be there on the show today. It is live, but you will have all that information uh, by the end of the day. And thank you so much, Rachel, for coming on. It's always a blessing having you here, and tell your little one hello, because she's just a little angel. And great. Have a great day. And thank you so much for being here. All
Yes.
right, guys. Love you. See you next week, Thursday. Have a good one.